Everybody, welcome back to Northernlion plays Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. 13 wins in a row. It's the luckiest number in television, baby. Lazarus, long time no see. Ruka, little Lazarus action. Who would have thunk?
Feels like I'm walking on sunshine.
FADY, 1 FA6. Been enjoying a little Isaac podcast that we've been having going on. Nice little opportunity to talk about things, you know what I mean? We're coming close. October, November is that time of the year. For whatever reason, and dude, I'm so stoked we got Dr. Fetus here. Mostly because it's Dr. Fetus, but secondarily because it allows us to tactically destroy ourselves if we decide we want to respawn and get the upgrades, which I've forgotten. I know you get a luck upgrade. We could always use the spirit hearts after annihilating ourselves. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But you know, October, maybe a little early. But November is definitely when we start to have these Game of the Year, Game of the Decade lists coming out. Because in December, that's the ideal time. Obviously, December 31st at 11:59 p.m. However, people go on vacation. They take like the whole month of December off. Part of the spirit of becoming an adult is realizing that like literally 80% of the work that's done in the world, well, okay, in the corporate world, is done like between January and April, and then September and November. In the summertime, the living's easier. People are taking time off to go on summer vacations if they're lucky enough to get time off. In the wintertime, you know, it's Christmas, it's holidays, there's a knock-on effect. You know, one person's missing from the office, everybody else is like, well, we don't have to work as hard. John's not even here today. In January, stuff gets done. I just want something half price, please. You know what? Let's try to farm for Diplopia here. You send somebody an email in February, they're going to get to it. You send someone an email in July, best of luck, brother. You might not get a reply on that one ever. I think we're just going to keep our spirit heart for now and move on. I hope. You know what? I've been trying to, for a while, consolidate what's the most boomer behavior of all time? You know, what action somebody takes would instantly define them as a boomer in your eyes? Every time I pose this question to chat, they hit me with something either economically or politically motivated. You know, people are always like, saying the expression, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, okay? I get it. Saying, well, if you want to buy a house, just get a better job. We did it back in the 1960s. I get it. These are boomer-driven, illogical statements. No question about it. But I figured it out, and it took me being at America's #1 restaurant. I was at McDonald's. Before you audit my diet, I was getting Kate a 10-piece chicken McNugget combo. I was getting myself a Caesar salad with grilled chicken. Oh, but the Caesar dressing's still pretty bad for you. Excuse me, sir, do you know the macronutrient and micronutrient count of the Caesar dressing with the calorie-wise? Is 190 calories for the Caesar salad dressing pack. That's not a... You're gonna... I just worry that we've weaponized all this Caesar salad is terrible for you talk, which is actually good information, but has just led to people being like, well, it's probably as bad for you as a Big Mac, and then they just get the Big Mac instead. Anyway, we've been down this road before. I don't want to go over it. But I figured it out. While I was waiting for my food, I figured it out. The most boomer behavior of all time is being in a McDonald's, ordering your food at the counter, not at the kiosk, because, you know, who knows what kind of funky stuff's going to go on at the kiosk. It's unfamiliar and anxiety-inducing. And then immediately proceeding to the pickup counter, resting your arms on the counter, and waiting for your food. Even if there's 25 people that are going to be served before you, hey man, I just ordered a small coffee and a McFlurry. I'm waiting in the premium position at the counter here. I noticed a 1-to-1 split, and I'm not being insincere. Yo, this is so good for us. Millennials, Zoomers, we were united, standing with enough space back so everybody could see the delivery board. Let me out, please. Thank you. Boomers, immediately, elbows up, get to that counter. Nobody's gonna steal my food order. So I do want Satanic Bible. We probably should have gotten that one last, I suppose. But it's still, I mean, it's worth it either way, of course. I've found it. You don't need to look anymore. I found the most... You shouldn't use the key there, Dumbo. We found it, the most boomer behavior of all time. You might be postulating some other boomer behaviors. There are some. For one, saying the expression working hard or hardly working instantly makes you a boomer. I don't care if you're 8 years old. That's boomer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've come to own my boomer tendencies. You gotta take the good with the bad, you know? Asking to speak to somebody's manager is a very boomer behavior. But there is nothing more boomery. Except maybe for asking someone to remake your drink at a Starbucks or a Tim Hortons. There is nothing more boomery than immediately proceeding to the pickup counter after placing your order at a McDonald's. I've soul searched. I welcome in the comments below behaviors that you think are more boomer rich. I don't think they exist though. Actually, you know what? There is one more boomerish sentence. When you're having a text conversation with somebody and they go, "This is frustrating, can I just call you?" That is, I know if you're a Zoomer or a millennial like I am, even though I pretend to be 50 years old online, that sends a chill up and down your spine. Whenever, you know, you're having an important conversation, it happens like, this is not a joke. It happens with like, people that I talk to for work. I don't mean colleagues. I mean like we might even be working on like sponsored deals or something like that. And we'll be hammering it out over email. And somebody will say like, this is really slow. Is there any chance we could just hop on a conference call? It's the scariest thing that any entity can possibly utter. For a couple of reasons. One is you get more time to respond to things in text. I think you get the chance to be more honest, really. Or at least more honest with yourself. And then secondarily, on a conference call, you have to go through the small talk and the how's your wife, how are the kids, etc., and everything takes 20 times longer to accomplish, and you get the idea. So I don't know. I'm torn on that. I'm torn on which one of those is more boomerish. You know, I think everybody's got some boomer behaviors, to be honest. I guess there's no getting out of that one. Probably shouldn't have played the card to begin with. Not all boomer behaviors are bad. You know, my parents are not boomers, but, I mean, what is a baby boomer? It's born from, like, 1945 to 1965 or something like that. If they're boomers, they're, like, late boomers. You know what I mean? They have some boomer behaviors, for certain. But some of those boomer behaviors are admirable. Well, admirable in a way. Can I care to explain, NL? Yeah. My dad in particular is constantly, and I feel lucky that I haven't inherited this behavior. But my dad is constantly of the opinion, or the suspicion, I guess I should say, that every restaurant he goes to is just trying to screw him over. Except for, there's like 4 restaurants where he's like, that's good, and we know the owners, they're good people. They won't try to put one over on you. But like going to a restaurant for the first time, it's like you don't just look at the menu for what you're gonna eat. You have to audit the whole restaurant first and be like, $17 for a vegetarian pasta? Well, what do they put gold nuggets in the sauce. You know, it's all, the number of times I heard something like that. Or like, you know, they've come to Vancouver a few times. By the way, I love my parents. I'm poking fun at them. I'm sure they poked fun at me. Look, I was a weird kid growing up. I'm sure they had all sorts of laughs when I wasn't around. At my expense, but hey, that's, you know. It's the spirit of family, is loving each other, but also occasionally talking behind each other's back. Although, my mom could be watching this video right now. I think she would find it funny, though. Plus, I owe her for the pancake mix story. But anyway, the greatest story of the year. My parents came to Vancouver once, and they're like, we really want to go to Granville Island, which is like, it's not a tourist trap. It's an outdoor market. Now, when I say it's not a tourist trap, what I mean is there are a ton of tourists there, and everything is expensive, but it's not like, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it, you know? Locals do go there as well. Things are expensive because they're good quality, and it's like, it's not there to take advantage of tourists. It's like people want to go there. It's not like, hey, it's the world's biggest quarter, you know? By the way, you want to buy a shirt that says world's biggest quarter? It's $40. It's not like that. But anyway, we went to this very tourist, you know, touristy part of the city. And then my parents were like, I'm hungry. You want to eat here? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we went to this restaurant that was like, you know, in the tourist-rich region. And, you know, we sat down. We were all getting ready to order. And then my dad was like, I don't want to eat here. This feels like a tourist trap. And I'm like, well, yeah. Look at yourself. You got a camera hanging around your neck. So we left. In my entire relationship with Kate, I've walked out of one restaurant without ordering or eating. To the best of my memory, at least. We went to a restaurant in you know, it's a Vancouver episode now. Prepare yourself. We went to a chain restaurant that I won't say the name of. I think they only have locations in Vancouver, and the other locations are very successful. Here's what I'm gonna say: it's not Noodle Box. I love Noodle Box, even though it is a little pricey. I would not want you to leave this thinking that I got screwed by Noodle Box. That's not the case. Noodle Box, if you're watching this, it's been a while since I've been to your locations, but if you ever want to talk sponsorships, hit me up. The Thai peanut curry. Absolutely delicious. Occasionally, you know what I love about the Noodle Box? I know you're like, I don't care what you love about the Noodle Box. I don't live in the city. Yeah, but you know what I love about Noodle Box? Which is not called the Noodle Box. It's actually just called Noodle Box. Is, if you tell them to make it spicy, they don't hit you with like, you know, ooh, this is ketchup. You know, they'll hit you with some real spice. I've done some damage to my GI tract at that restaurant as a result of my own bravado, and I respect that they took me on face value. Anyway, but you know, it was on Granville Street, which is a weird part of town. In that it's extremely long, so one part of Granville Street is not indicative of, you know, the quality of other parts of Granville Street. This is on, like, the Strip. It's insanely popular, and also, never go there. It's not, like, sketchy in terms of the people necessarily, but it's just kind of like, it's dirty and grimy, and not in a way that's, like, you know, character rich, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, it's kind of dirty down here, but they have an amazing pierogi place. No, I mean, it's just like, it's like drunk underage kids. And then the kinds of people that want to hang out with drunk underage or recently of age kids. So, you know, if that's what you're into. I'm not trying to gaslight you or the whole street of Granville, but it's one of my least favorite parts of the city. But anyway, we were there. We walk in. Been in many other locations of this restaurant. And then we, like, you know, sit down. Nobody comes by. Nobody comes by. 5-10 minutes go by. Starting to hit my limit, and I'm a pretty easygoing guy as far as like the service industry goes. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna say something. Then a server walks by, and I go, "Hey, can we order?" Admittedly, it's an act of aggression in Canada. Excuse me, ma'am, can we order, please? I don't know how you soften the blow on that one. You need the velvet glove. I say, "Hey, can we order?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll be with you in a minute." And then she went and like was talking to some other person at the restaurant for like 5 more minutes. We just walked out, and I guess to their credit, they didn't even try to stop us. They just watched us walk out. They were clearly like, we don't care. Maybe they were ill-equipped that day for whatever reason, and you know, corporate policy says we can't just tell them to leave, but we also shouldn't serve them. They won't be happy with their service or whatever. I don't know. That's like the light side interpretation of what happened there. That's the only time I can remember walking out of a restaurant with Kate. I have walked out of a restaurant after sitting down with my parents at least 10 times in my life. Let me give you some reasons here. Too expensive, sure. It happens, right? Which is, it is silly though, because like my parents are not hard up for money, but you know, again, it's the menu audit. They look at the menu and they go, you know, I could afford to pay $13 for a hamburger, but I could go to McDonald's and get one for $5.50 with the French fries and a drink. Once they got inside, service was slow. Acceptable. My dad's got a more of a hair trigger for that than I do. Didn't, you know, once we got in, looked at the menu, didn't have anything for my mom to eat. That's acceptable. My mom is, she's not a vegetarian, but she has dietary restrictions that she's imposed on herself. She doesn't eat any red meat, for example. And I gotta tell you, especially in my hometown, what that usually means is you have to go to a restaurant and 99% of the menu is open to everybody, and if you don't want red meat or chicken, there's one vegetarian option that's like, I don't know, man, we just chucked a head of iceberg lettuce into the garbage disposal and put it on the plate. So I don't blame her for that one. But I've walked out of myriad restaurants over the course of my existence growing up. That's also boomer energy. I was reminded of it because Kate and I sat down at a Korean restaurant in Vancouver like a couple of weeks ago, and there was a family next to us, and I was like, oh, they look like my parents. And then like 5 minutes later, they stood up and walked out without ordering. I'm like, yeah, I get it. You walked into the place and you're like, well, you know, we could probably get like some bibimbap here. You look at the menu, it's all in Korean. You go, we gotta get the heck out of here. Me, on the other hand, I say, 실례합니다. 제육덮밥 주세요. Bali. That means bring me my spicy stir-fried pork right now, as fast as possible. Pojong 주세요, to go. I don't know how to say to eat in. Because when I lived in Korea, I didn't eat in whenever possible. Because all that leads to is you eating, you know, some kimchi kimbap, sitting on a stool, pretending to read a Korean newspaper, recognizing every 8th word. Why would I do that when instead I could go home and eat my cheap food in shame? Anyway, that was a long time ago. Now I eat most of my meals over the sink like a rat. Just makes less dishes. That is not boomer behavior. That is zoomer behavior. Another instance of boomer behavior, I love my mom, like, as much as another human being could love another human being, right? She gave life to me, and she set me on a good path in life. When we go to my parents' house, you know, once every year, once every other year, we go hang out with my parents, she'll be like, hey, can I make lunch for you? When I was like 20, I was like, Mom, I'm my own man. You don't need to make lunch for me. I've realized, you know, as I have gotten older, she likes it. I know that sounds like, look, if you're like, you know, my age and you're living with your mom and she's doing all of your chores for you, you gotta take it from me, you know, like, you gotta get yourself sorted out. Don't use Northernlion said, whoops, I didn't mean to press that. Don't use Northernlion said she liked it as a defense, okay? Does she like it? Well, she might like it, like, in principle, but you still need to learn how to do your own laundry, dishes, and stuff like that. Moreover, I think my mom likes it because it's a once every now and then sort of thing she gets to provide, you know? I think we'll take it. And honestly, I think we'll just take the flies with us. But when she makes me lunch, she'll make me like a wrap. And she makes her own guacamole. She puts the guacamole on the inside of the tortilla so it sticks nice instead of being all clumpy and weird. She lays the ingredients. She'll like grill a chicken breast and then slice it, then place it perfectly with like just the right amount of vegetables sticking out of the top of the tortilla. I'm not even messing with you. She wraps it up in like butcher's paper. You know, like butcher's, like the, I don't know what to describe it as. If you don't know what butcher's paper is, you know. It's that like red and white, like checkerboard pattern paper. She wraps it up like she's serving me at a commercial establishment. It's a beautiful presentation, and then I just devour. I'm very grateful, to be clear, but I just devour the lunch in like, I don't know, under 90 seconds. That's boomer behavior. Zoomer behavior, I take a tortilla, tacos, carnitas, filling in the center, eat it over the sink like a rat. Yeah, we have a dishwasher. I still don't want to. I'd rather not fill the dishwasher that often. It's called saving the planet, sweetheart. It has nothing to do with laziness. I don't actually eat all of my meals over the sink like a rat. I do eat probably 10 to 15% of the calories I eat on a daily basis, though. I do eat over the sink like a rat. Like the peanut butter, for example. What are you gonna do with peanut butter? You're gonna get yourself a nice ramekin, fill it with chunky peanut butter. Oh, let me use one of my caviar spoons to sample this. It's not like that. I'm a low maintenance sort of guy. Sincerely. How do you think I've been able to play the same game for so long? I don't even require being entertained in order to be entertained. I can entertain myself with how unentertaining something is. We're on the next level. I'm mad at myself a little. Don't shoot the bomb! What are you doing? Don't swear! Got him. Well, at least it's where we want to be. Anyway, that's my boomer versus zoomer logic for today. I don't have anything else. I will say, when we went to the movie theater, I almost had a boomer-zoomer bonding moment. You know? Kate, when we got into the movie theater, she was like, do you want popcorn? I was like, yeah, I want popcorn. Do you want popcorn? She's like, yeah, I want popcorn. So I was like, all right, you know, that's easy enough. It's going to be a popcorn and 2 drinks kind of movie-going experience. But the only way to get, well, not the only way, but the cheapest way to get popcorn and I was telling a story, please. The cheapest way to get popcorn and 2 drinks at the movie theater is you get a $75.99 combo of, yeah, concessions are expensive. Get it? What about airplane food? Stop walking on the things, brother. I should never have taken Leo. Either way, comes with, why are you walking on the things, dude? Let me go. Comes with popcorn, 2 drinks, but it also comes with candy for reasons that still make no sense to me. I get, you know, it's a little weird to complain about receiving too much, but you're receiving too much because you're also paying too much. You know what I mean? It's like when, you know, if you're buying cable TV or something like that, you're like, all I want is HGTV. And they're like, well, that's only available in our lifestyle pack. You gotta get HGTV, you gotta get A&E, you gotta get Slice, you gotta get the W Network, you gotta get the Hallmark Channel, you gotta get Oprah's television network, you know, etc., etc. Obviously, we're gonna go for this. Sure, why not? We became Guppy. We're also Lazarus already. I would like to take Guppy's head back, thank you. But this is still really good. Anyway, so I had this, I had Starburst Minis. I don't want them, because this, when I take this line of reasoning, people don't always resonate with it, you know? Sometimes, I wouldn't say people get like annoyed by it necessarily, but I think that it puts you in the minority position sometimes. But I would rather not even have the candy because it's not good for you and it doesn't taste that good. Like, if I'm gonna eat kind of like garbage that's bad for me, I'd rather at least be like actively enjoying it instead of just like, yeah, whatever, my brain kind of likes this. But I also am not gonna be like, don't give me the candy, because I know that this whole thing's a bureaucracy, and I worry that you know, if I say I don't want the candy, the dude's gonna be like, why are you being a jerk? Corporate's gonna be like, did you steal the candy? Why can't you just take the candy, dude? And I don't want to waste the candy. I don't want to be in like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode on this, right? Anyway, so I had the Starburst there, and then when we were watching Parasite before the movie started, an older gentleman came, sat down next to me, and like I was about to be like, hey, dude, do you want this? These Starburst minis? I saw he didn't have any snacks, and I thought, you know what? I'll be a good dude. And just when I had worked up the nerve to be like, hey dude, you want these Starburst minis? He left and went to sit somewhere else. And then like 2 minutes later, a young lady, you know, she was probably like 25 and by herself, came and sat down next to me. And I was like, I can't offer this girl the candy. Not because, you know, I have any disrespect for her, but just because it's a different situation from an optics level, right? If you're a 65-year-old man and a 30-year-old bald dude goes, hey, you want some candy? You know, it's maybe a little unusual, but it's, you know, nothing inappropriate would probably spring to mind. But, you know, you're a 25-year-old woman going to see a movie by herself. All of a sudden, the creepy dude next to you with no hair goes, hey, do you want these Starburst minis? I just don't want it. And probably it would have been fine. And if anything, it just reflects maybe more poorly on my own character. Yeah, obviously, she did nothing wrong. She is just a passive observer in this anecdote. Little did she know she was going to become famous today. But I don't know. I think there is context that matters in that situation. It is a shame, but at the same time, I mean, honestly, maybe nobody should be accepting, you know, candy from strangers in public, even if they are adults. But, like, you know, it's a different situation. And I thought that was unfortunate. So you're going to be like, what'd you do with the candy? I just threw it out. I know. Look, I'm not proud of it either. But at that point, the candy had become like a burden. Like, what am I supposed... Now I got to spend the whole... You know the Kanye tweet where he's like, now I got to spend the rest of my flight babysitting this water bottle. It's like, now because I've got the candy, I've got an obligation to like find someone who's most needy and then give them the candy. You know, it's a whole thing that I don't really want to have to work with. It's like I just went in, I wanted some popcorn. All of a sudden now I'm a bad person because I didn't take the Starburst minis out to, you know, the homeless shelter on Abbott Street. Come on. That's too far. You're welcome to purchase some Starburst minis and take them out there yourself. That's not the point, NL. I know it's not the point, but I have to defend myself in some way from the attacks here. Okay. No HP, but a great run notwithstanding. Everything's going fine. Try not to blow yourself up with your bookworm bombs. Why does that? It sounds like a Van Morrison song, but I can't do a Van Morrison impression, so instead it's gonna have to be Bob Dylan. Blow yourself up with your bookworm bombs and your fitzy foams and your cherished psalms. Blow yourself up with your bookworm bombs. I'll be here if you need me. Getting my sleep on. That's not really... It didn't come together, but it could have been worse. It had a tune. There was musicality to it on a very basic level. Let me out, please. I do not want number 1. The range scares the crap out of me. I am proud of myself for rhyming psalm with balm. Help me. It took 2 stanzas to come together, but we got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. So this run should be totally fine. I mean, you knew we had a pretty good chance for this to be totally fine. As soon as we picked up Dr. Fetus, like, immediately. You might say, NL, why not pick up Robo Baby? Well, I have, like, I'm on Protest. It's a very passive strike against Isaac, but my strike is, if I am gonna win anyway, I'm not gonna pick up items that have no impact on gameplay, because there's too many of them. I'm protesting inert and impotent items by not picking them up any longer. You know, I respect the good items, I respect the great items, I even respect the terrible items. What I no longer respect is the item that has no impact and exists just to pad out the game's item count. Robo Baby, could you concoct of a situation where Robo Baby was part of a suite of items that led to a winning run? And it actually had, like, noteworthy contributions, it wasn't just tagging along? You could, but it's extremely unlikely. Now, has it happened to me? Possibly. But you know what else has happened to me? Pretty much every conceivable situation you could imagine happening in this game as a result of the law of large numbers, the amount of time I played it for. Tomo, you want to come in, buddy? Hey, everybody, welcome Tomo to the stage. Tomo! Oh, hello. Here's your box, Tomo. You may get in the box. Thank you. Once you're in the box, I decree that you spin around 4 times for no discernible reason, and then plunk yourself down with a slightly perturbed yet relaxed look upon your visage. What do you think, Tomo? What do you think about that? No meow? No meow for the good people of YouTube today? Some people watching this series exclusively watch it for the meows, Tomo. You're leaving me in the lurch here. Tomo and Ruka have been locked in heated battle. They're in conflict with one another right now. What's the conflict about? Oh man, it's like the Silmarillion. It's hard to describe. Very verbose. Essentially, for the longest time, these cats have only had a 1 litter box, okay? Then we read online that the rule is, if you want the cats to be friendlier to each other, you should have 1 litter box per cat, so every cat has their own private bathroom. Must be nice. These guys clearly don't know how much Vancouver real estate goes for, but, so anyway, we got a 2nd litter box. What this has accomplished is that both cats still merely use 1 litter box, and the same litter box, but now Ruka gets very mad at Tomo for using what he perceives to be his litter box, and you can see why this is just inane. But yeah, they've been having some interpersonal strife. Tomo is he's a sweet boy. He needs my protection. I'm happy to give it to him. Ruka needs to... I mean, how do you talk sense into a cat, right? How can I convey a complex idea to this cat? Like, stop attacking your brother for pooping in the same spot you poop in. Or, on the other hand, if I could just tell Tomo, hey, Tomo, poop in this box. We've been doing it. We've been moving the poops from one to the other. It's the whole thing. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya!